Yeah, because of what Texas did.
Yeah, because of what Texas did, and of course because of the Voting Rights Act, that might need to happen. Anyway, let's go ahead and start this recording. Hey, y'all, what's going on? I'm Volcy once again here with my great gracious panel. We are in the third episode of Nuance and Black. Fortunately, last week we couldn't make it, but this week we are definitely here, and we're here to give y'all some good conversation from the Black perspective and our lens. Let me go ahead and introduce my panel. J Man, say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's up? It's the man, J-Man. Here back at you again.
Appreciate that. And our resident old head, well adjusted. How's it going?
Here we go.
Happening, representing Generation X up in the house.
All right. Always, man. All right, let's go ahead and start this right off real quickly. About the topic I want to talk about last week, but unfortunately we couldn't. I don't know if you guys saw the entire interaction with Queen's Flip and Marcus Hill on the Joe Budden podcast. You guys saw that?
I ain't see that shit at all.
Yeah,
I did.
You did, yeah. So we definitely got a thing that became a conversation on, what it's like to be a black intellectual in spheres that are full of what we will just call, barbershop or regular everyday folks, regular niggas. Yeah, I mean, so one thing that Professor Odie and FD Signifier, what they have come to said is that a lot of people, a lot of black people, especially men who go on to get like higher education, a lot of us are not used to or get used to not talking to regular everyday people. You know what I mean? We're always in these academic spheres where, like language and nuances, it gets pretty complex, and then when you get around like a lot of regular folks, a lot of it could come off as, pretty like off-putting or like condescending. You know what I mean? I think that's what the issue was with when it came to Marcus and Queen's Flip. It came off to Queen's Flip as Marcus was being condescending. And like Marcus said, I don't use tricky words. I use regular words that's tricky to you. Oh man, that's the bar of the year, y'all. I think that's the bar of the year. I use regular words that's tricky to you. But yeah, so it really brought up a conversation on, how is black masculinity promoted or performed? Because I've run into this too, where folks think just because like your like my nickname growing up was Brain. You know what I mean? Because I used to help out, I was in middle school helping out 10th graders with their homework, so they just called this called me Brain. You know what I mean? So like a lot of times with that moniker, with that, people think they could play with you. And I had to stand up for myself a lot, either get angry or almost get into a fight because they think because you have a certain level of intellect, or even not even just intellect but knowledge, all of a sudden like you pussy, you know what I mean, you soft or something like that. And it really brought up a conversation on how do we express like black masculinity. Is it all based on our physicalities, you know what I mean, our ability to pleasure women sexually, our ability to fight, our ability to hustle and get money? Is that all black masculinity is? It really started that conversation. What do you guys think? Well, Ed, you're the one who actually saw the video like I did, so I'm gonna get your opinion on that first. What do you think about that entire conversation?
So Marc Lamont Hill is from Philly, just like I am, and he grew up. I think he was from North Philly, so he grew up in similar circumstance, being an intellectual among a lot of very regular people. Um, he stood up for himself. Yeah, I think he stood up for himself very well. Um, but and very much like you, I remember what it was like when I was younger and standing out intellectually among my peers, and then having to prove myself that yeah, you know what, I'm just because I think a lot, it doesn't mean that I don't know how to throw these hands. Yeah, you're always going to be tested all the time. Uh, it seems to like go with the territory somehow that if you are an intellectual, then you're probably not very physical, which for me was never the case because my parents being very intellectual wanted to make sure that we still knew that we had a body that we had to take care of. So yeah, you're always going to be tested.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the That's the thing. Like it kind of makes me wonder. Within our like black cultural experience, why is that a thing? I'm not sure about any other communities, but yeah, within us, they're gonna test you, not just to see how smart you are, but on your physicality. You know what I mean? Are you able to to throw them hands? You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where we, like I said, we really have to question what when it comes to intellectualism in the black community. I see a lot of it is tied up mostly in uh what you can do to find money, find hustle. You know what I mean? Your street smarts, essentially. That's what we consider that's the intellectualism that's respected, but other forms seem to not be respected. A lot of people like Deontay Kyle, like Professor Odie, they were saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, if that part seems to not be respected amongst a lot of our peers. Is that a thing that you've also experienced yourself, J-Man?
Can't say I have throughout my entire life, even up until now. I've been pretty solitary, so it's not often that I get into those kind of conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only been into two physical fights, but neither of them had anything to do with somebody coming after me because I was an intellectual person. Those are those came from completely separate issues from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it is one. But Ed, what did you think of like the entire like interaction? Is sucker really a huge thing like that in Philly?
So if somebody calls you a sucker,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you're weak.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what that means. It means you're weak. You can be taken advantage of, and and so Mark was just trying to was trying to say that he's not a sucker. He definitely can take care of himself physically, but he prefers to approach situations as an intellectual, because if we sit down and we can solve a problem, it's better than us trying to throw hands at each other because nothing gets solved that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean I got where both of them were coming from, but I'm gonna come down on the side of Mark
Mm-hmm.
and say that the more that we apply our intellect to solving problems, the less that we have to break our backs solving problems.
No, true. Yeah, I'm 100% agree. Like I was talking to people and they were like, "Yeah, being called a sucker over in Philly and the greater Pennsylvania area. That's that's serious. It's like
Those are fighting words.
those are
Those are
fighting
definitely
words.
fighting words.
Yeah, those are fighting words. Yeah, down here in Florida, it's being called a fuck nigga or a pie. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
those are those are fine words. If you start off with
Yeah,
green, if they call you green, then it's be like, okay, you thinking I'm like duplicitous. Yeah, I mean, like I'm a manipulator. If they call you green, you know what I mean. But then when they call you pie or fuck nigga, then yeah, it's now we gotta fight. no, now we gotta
yeah,
fight. That's how serious it is.
yeah. That's the equivalent of being called a bitch nigga in Philly.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
you're a sucker, you a sucker, you a bitch nigga, you could be taken advantage of. Don't your ass ever go to prison because you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what essentially what they're saying.
You know what's crazy? I think that one is probably universal, bitch nigga. I think that's probably universal. That one is probably universal. That's fighting words everywhere.
So you know what? So when I was in Jamaica.
Mhm,
When I was in Jamaica, I
Don't
was
say.
hanging out with this dude, and we were going back and forth about what do people consider insulting,
mhm.
and he said bitch nigga down here doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Oh wow,
He
that's
said
crazy.
now you just call somebody a bomber clock. Now
Uh,
that's different. And
now that's different. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean up here that doesn't mean anything. That just means that we know you're Jamaican.
Yeah. Doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's crazy because in Haiti and Haitian Creole, calling someone some principe or sumun, some principe means you without principles. That's what it literally means. But it literally means like and sumun basically means no shame or friendly. That's what, because su means on and moon means people. So literally translate to on people, but figuratively it means like you're too friendly or you're gullible or basically you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So it's those are kind of the fighting wars down there, especially, or if you say, get mama, which basically means go fuck your mother. that would
We say the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, yeah.
Say the same fucking
Yeah,
thing about that.
Yeah.
that's problematic.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a huge one. But yeah, this is I think this should continue to be a conversation of, how well can Black masculinity be expressed, and are there parts of it that we suppress in order to fit in with this current society, and how do we change it? I think over some time I've been seeing online a lot of conversations about how Gen Z killed street culture. Yeah, maybe because they view it like as corny. Like if you're in a gang or if you're going around causing violence and being a crash out, a lot of Gen Zers now view that as corny. Yeah, I mean,
They really?
yeah. What do you guys start thinking about that trend? Like even some young boy fans, you know what I mean? A lot of people are saying that those niggas is corny. You know what I'm saying? Like what do you guys think of that?
Well, that's the first I've heard of it. Then
Yeah,
again,
me too.
I'm typically tuned out of this shit. I don't
Mm,
know. I
Is
guess
this
that's going on with the trend of crime going down and stuff. So there's a different attitude towards it.
right.
so?
I
Is this
would,
from the hip hop perspective or something?
Yeah, this is just like from a perspective of like Gen Z in general, especially when it comes to Black people. Um, that is a conversation on, our street dudes like just corny because going around causing violence is just doesn't seem cool anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like folks kind of are starting to view it as corny now. So that's so it is a thing here for the younger people for Gen Z. But
that's news.
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta
but
say
it's
that is to be appreciated. Then it's to be appreciated. If they're taking that attitude towards street violence, then
mm,
that's to be appreciated.
yeah. Yeah, definitely agree. It's a new wave, a new thing going on. You know what I mean? And because when I was growing up, that was the cool thing. You know what I mean? Now you didn't have to be that, but people wanted a little bit of edge on you. Yeah, you feel me? And nowadays, it seems that even being anything close to that is a conversation on, is it corny or not? Even if you're from the hood, you know what I mean? Because there's people saying that even in they're in the hood, you know what I mean? They're from the hood, but like being out in the street causing trouble is seen as like kind of stupid to them. You feel me?
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that's the attitude that's going around with it.
Yeah, yeah. That's one good thing. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and move on to our next subject. I definitely want to know more about this because of everything that's happening politically right now. Prop 50 in California, as you said, Ed, is going on right now. It's about redistricting. Tell us a little bit more about that.
All right. So, for some background, um, back in mid 2025, in Texas, they proposed some gerrymandering going on to redistrict to favor Republicans in Texas. And as you know, Texas is a very huge state.
Mhm.
However, most folks are in Dallas or in Houston or something like that. So they figure if they can redistrict, then doesn't matter where people are, the votes are going to go toward the Republicans. So what California decided to do was say, hey, we can redistrict too and make everything go toward the Democrats because California is another humongous state just like Texas. So Prop 50 was put on the midterm ballot
Mhm.
to ask Californians whether or not we want to be able to redistrict and make everything go toward the Democrats the way that Texas decided to try to make everything go toward the Republicans. And that's where Prop 50 is. And almost everyone that I know is saying yes on Prop 50.
Yeah, I don't live in California, but it definitely should be a yes on Prop 50. What do you think, J Pad?
I think it's great. I think two cool parts about it. Feel free to correct me on it because I only read a little bit about it. Was it only triggers it? Well, for one, is that they're sending it out and making it a vote for everybody. The citizens get to choose if that's something they want to do or not. Texas, they didn't do that. They just pushed that shit through.
Mm,
And the other part was it only triggers if Texas does go through with their gerrymandering thing.
mhm.
Exactly.
And I believe it's temporary as well.
Yes, it's temporary.
Yes. Okay.
It's temporary and it only goes into effect if Texas goes forward with their gerrymandering. It only lasts until 2030.
Right.
Uh, uh,
So
and
California is still giving the people, it's still giving the people the voice as opposed to giving voice to politicians.
yeah, no, that's a lot better strategy. I'd have been petty, and if it goes into if it goes into effect in Texas, I'd have made it permanent. I'd be like, all right, cool, now it's permanent. Yeah, I mean, I've been super petty with it, but yeah, I mean, what's going on with the Texas gerrymandering and everything that's going on right now, it keeps bringing up the thought, or like basically the conspiracy, that Trump is either going to try to stop the midterms or like rig the midterms in Republicans' favor so they don't get voted out, because he knows if a blue wave happens and all those people lose their seats, Democrats ain't passing shit. You know what I mean? They're not gonna pass anything for the next 2 years. Yeah, you feel me? So like at the like I think Trump is definitely gonna try to stop that, and possibly even with all of the moves that is happening with food stamps maybe not being able to be refilled, the shutdown and federal workers still not being able to pump money into the economy, more unemployed people than there are jobs, and he's selling the National Guard everywhere. uh it makes people nervous that he's preparing for something. Yeah, I mean, preparing for
Yeah.
like a complete like suspending elections and taking over and shit.
Well, he's built
That
himself a bunker too, so maybe.
yeah, that'll be very concerning though. Like, what do you guys think of that? Because that will be extremely concerning if it's something that we see in the foreseeable future for the United States.
Well, he's definitely planting the seeds of unrest. He's making sure that people are uncomfortable. He's making sure that people have fear in their hearts. He's making sure that people see the evidence of him flexing his power because he wants people to respond to that,
Mm-hmm.
because that will give him again another excuse to flex more power. So he wants people to respond to this thing that he's doing, which is an extremely predictable thing
Mm-hmm.
to do because every other wannabe dictator has done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
he's following the playbook. He wants to make sure that the people are consistently at a state of unrest, and even the people who are higher up, like he is, he wants to make sure those people stay uncomfortable too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As long as
Exactly.
everybody's uncomfortable, everyone has to rely upon him.
Mm-hmm. No, no, that's facts. I mean, that is the playbook. Like, you make people on make people like distrust. Well, he already did that with not trusting the media. He already did that. He already did not trusting information that basically calls him out. He's already done that. There are plenty of people who already say, oh, this is what was happening in context, and it's when they add the context, it's even worse, or it's just not true. So it's something that gets worse and worse, that you worry about. And we may have to call J Man one day, be like, hey man, send me down a couple of clips because we need to we need to get prepared down here. You feel me? What you say, Jay?
Well, first I have to say, because it would be questioning my integrity as a Second Amendment advocate if I didn't, is most likely going to be magazines. I doubt you're going to have any fucking gun that's going to take you might be in a little bit of trouble. So it's a magazine. You got to correct that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, I think honestly one of the great things, for as much shit as we give this guy about him being an idiot, is he's made an amazing fucking run with galvanizing his support base and making it so that at least half of this country doesn't trust a word that
Mm-hmm.
any fucking media outlet says unless it's confirmation bias.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's taken out public trust of media outlets, of institutions that we have, especially with when it comes to voting. The government as a whole, which is really odd because he controls all three branches of government and has the House and the Senate, I believe. I think he had like all of it. And while there's still general distrust of it, they all feel, at least his side feels like as long as he's at the helm, they're generally going to be doing, right by them.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't know, simultaneous distrust of the government, but absolute faith in it. As long as he's the one up top.
Mm. And it's like, it's like they support him essentially being a king. You know what I mean? Which we know a lot of his administration are they were basically radicalized by dark enlightenment. So we know they want to set him up to be a king, even though they said that they're not. But one of the scariest things that I've seen is that when it comes to our peers, especially on the right, I will talk to these folks now, and you would see that they're all pointing out the same exact issue we're pointing out, right? How these billionaires are running everything, how everything is more expensive, and the reason why it's more expensive is because there's all the money is going to the top, and we can't afford it, and they're jacking up the prices, and we're having enshittification and planned obsolescence in all of our products, everything like that. So they know what the issue is, but then they'll say it's all because of the Marxists. And it's like, I got into an argument with somebody the other day, and I'm like, what are you talking about? How is this because of Marxists? And you're like, oh, the Jeff Bezos and those people of the world and the Mark Zuckerbergs and doing all this and that. I'm like, yo, these are some of the wealthiest men on the
They're
planet.
capitalists.
These are capitalists.
They're entirely capitalists.
Like they are 100% capitalists. You're like, what do you mean they're upholding my ideology? What are you talking about? They were like, oh, because you support them. It's like, when the fuck did I ever support these people? Like, I've talked. I said, it's crazy because there's some person I was arguing with. I'm like, you've been in this group for about 10 to 15 years on Facebook, and I've never supported any of these people. What are you talking about? And, and he's like, oh, they're Marxists. I'm like, no, they're not. They're like Jeff Bezos, like
Thing from Mark.
like one of the core tenets of Marxism is workers unions, and Jeff Bezos has always he's always stopped unions from happening. So what do we? It's amazing because
work on just trying to destroy unions whenever they pop up. I believe you.
Yeah, it's like
would rather be broke than unionize one of his fucking workplaces willingly.
Exactly, and it's amazing to me that they've been so convinced to not know things. What I mean, for lack of a better term. And it's like, how can you say someone who is one of the wealthiest people in the world, are capitalists to the extreme degree, are suddenly upholding Marxism? That makes no sense. It's I don't know. It's like what's happened with the education system. Like I think it's tied into the literacy crisis.
But what you're running into
Hmm?
is what you're running into is for decades now in the United States of America. What we have is this cult of anti-intellectualism.
Hmm.
There's on the right, they push people to not go to they push people to not go to college. They push people to learn a trade or something like that, so they'll be useful to the economy. So that they essentially so they become a worker bee instead of somebody who can move up to management or something like that.
Hmm.
Because everybody who's in power went to law school,
Yeah.
but they encourage you to not go to college.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to look at that.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
definitely have to look
I
at
mean,
that.
come on now.
Yeah, it's kind of
But this,
funny. There was I was looking at some videos that compared the government of the United States to the government of like some place like China, right? And one thing that they noticed is that like everyone in the United States government was a lawyer, right? Just about everybody in Congress, just about everybody that was a senator, just about all of them were lawyers. But over in China, like at least half to even the majority of them are engineers. Mechanical engineers, civil engineers, chemical engineers. All of them are engineers. You know what I mean? And right now we see the difference. They've laid down already thousands of miles or kilometers, as they use, of high speed rail. They've cleaned up a lot of their environment. It's just completely different over there. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that we all got to move to China and learn Mandarin now, but there are some things they're doing right. You feel me?
as an old head, I want you to look back at a movie. The movie was called The Devil's Advocate. It starred Al Pacino and Keanu
I
Reeves.
remember that movie.
Al, Al Pacino played a character named John Milton.
Hmm.
Turns out he was the devil.
Hmm.
Now, when he's having a conversation with his son, Keanu Reeves, Kevin Lomax was the name of the character he played. He's having a conversation with his son, and Kevin says, "Well, why lawyers? Why the law?" And John says to him, "Because the law puts us in everything. It's the new priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
There are more students in law school right now than there are lawyers walking the earth. The law puts us into everything. That's why everyone in the US government has gone to law school, and many of them have never even practiced law ever once.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that that Juris Doctorate is the key to allow them into the seats of power. Just like in medieval Europe, if you were in the clergy, you had the key to the seats of power. Because now politics is the new priesthood,
Clergy.
the
Mm-hmm.
new clergy. So there you go.
Yeah. No.
That's bad.
Oh man, yeah. just you just wrapped up everything in a nice little bow. It's that's essentially what's going on. What did you want to say, Jay, man?
Too, I don't know how I could follow that up, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you might just have to give it to him. I don't know. I don't
yeah. I mean, the only thing that I can add is that one of the big problems that I see in the literacy crisis is not only of people not being able to read above a sixth grade level, but comprehension. Because one thing I've seen is a rise of reactionaries. Even people who read above a sixth grade level, right? They can read a passage on a page, but we all learn like in the third or fourth grade that you need to get the main idea of a passage. You just can't read one sentence and know what it means. You have to read everything to understand what's happening, right? And one thing that I'm seeing is a huge lack of comprehension. Like people are able to like read the words, but they're not able to understand what they read, or they'll read line by line and react to each line that they read instead of understanding the full entire passage of what was happening. You see what I'm saying? And this is concerning because your contracts, especially I work in insurance, those insurance contracts are above a 12th grade reading level. Like you really got to understand what it's saying. And even sometimes I find contradictory messages in there. You know what I mean? So you have to understand
Mhm.
what it's saying. They even said that the Bible itself, we're not believers, but most people are. But even the Bible itself is at an 8th grade reading level. So these people can't read or comprehend it. Look at the decisions they're going to be making. You see what I'm saying? Especially when they go on there and vote and stuff that's going to be on the ballot. I mean, things that are on the ballot on average are at a 12th grade reading level. Yeah, I mean, so it makes people very it makes me very concerned about what's going to happen with Prop 50 if a lot of people can't even read it. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they so when they send out the ballot, they try to make it as clear and plain as possible. As a matter of fact, the ballot has only one question on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll read it to you. It says, "Authorizes temporary changes to congressional district maps in response to Texas partisan redistricting, legislative constitutional amendment. Requires temporary use of new congressional district maps through 2030. Directs Independent Citizen Redistricting Commission to resume enacting congressional district maps in 2031. Establishes policy supporting nonpartisan redistricting commissions nationwide. Fiscal impact: one-time cost of counties, one-time cost to counties of up to a few million dollars statewide to update election materials to reflect new congressional district maps. And it's either a yes or a no. That's it. That's the whole ballot.
It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
They tried to make it as simple as possible. As a matter of fact, they even have it in several different languages.
Mhm. No, I agree. That is that sounds very 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 simple, and you'll be surprised how many people didn't understand what you just said, bro. You'll be
I
surprised.
actually wouldn't be surprised.
Mm,
I actually wouldn't be surprised. There's so much media out right now to explain what Prop 50 is. To explain, and there's a lot of anti Prop 50 media out there as well, saying they're taking away your power. if you're a conservative, they're taking away your power. No, if you're a conservative in California, you really didn't have much power to begin with in the first place.
Mhm.
Word.
But
Mm.
Yeah.
but but if you're going to look at the nationwide map and look at what Texas is doing, or at least what they're trying to do, this is an effort to rebalance that map because what they want to do is to push everything in favor of everything being red. So they have the power. They want to make sure that they keep the power by making sure that other people don't have a voice, which is exactly the opposite of what the United States of America was founded upon. Now, we know the
Well,
USA, very hypocritical, slavery, all that kind of
right.
good stuff. We
Uh-huh.
know all that. We know all that. Given all that, we're trying to look at what we are supposed to be today. And what that means is that everybody gets a voice. Texas wants to say nope, and California wants to say, you know what? Fuck your nope.
Yeah,
January is
fuck
really
all
all
that.
it's doing is really just evening the fucking playing field.
Yes, that's
As far as
exactly it.
from what I see on there, it would only gerrymander an equivalent amount of seats that Texas is attempting to take or to change.
Yeah,
It's
Exactly,
not
exactly.
going above or
exactly.
beyond from what I'm seeing
Exactly. It'll
And
just balance it out
when you are privileged, equality feels like oppression.
every time.
every single time. Every single time. You know what I mean? And this is all because they want to essentially, like you said, Ed, like stop our voices, stop our votes, which leads me to what we need to start talk about next, and then we'll talk about what's going on in Chicago, Jay, right after that.
Yeah, man.
The SCOTUS is about to vote on a key part of the Voting Rights Act. And it's very, very concerning because this could mean that a lot of districts that represent black folks, represent black people, could be eliminated. Um, yeah, that's tough. Let's start off with adjusted with Ed. What's your rundown on that so far?
So I may not be as up to par on what they're trying to do with regard to the Voting Rights Act, but I do. One thing that's always struck me really hard is Clarence Thomas basically was chosen to replace uh man, what was his name? Um, was it Oliver Wendell Holmes? No, no, no. Clarence Thomas replaced on the let's see, wait Supreme Court Justice, right, Thurgood
Mhm.
Marshall. Uh, Clarence Thomas replaced Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court. These two men could not be more opposite. Thurgood
Man.
Marshall fought for the Voting Rights Act,
Mhm.
fought for civil rights all the time,
Mhm.
100% of the time. Clarence Thomas has done his best, his level best as a Supreme Court justice to roll back as much of the Civil Rights Act as he possibly could. He's been doing it since he got on the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
He has been shucking and jiving for the Supreme Court ever since he got there. I don't understand why he was ever allowed, even after all the news came out about his improper behavior
Mhm.
and everything. Still
Makes me easier
was
to
allowed to
control.
be on the Supreme. Oh, he's very easy to control because he does exactly what they want.
Mhm.
He does exactly what they want.
Mhm.
He has nary a bone in his body that gives a single shit about what it is to be a black American.
Mhm.
It's wild
So,
because you go and look at a lot of the past things that I didn't know this about because I didn't care to fucking know anything about his personal life or anything. I've just written him off and just moved on. But every now and then on the Black Man subreddit, I'll go over there and somebody will post up stuff from when he was younger, and in there you'll see he was or at least it appears to be that he was a passionate follower of Malcolm X and a lot of our other civil rights leaders
Mm-hmm.
in the past. And I don't know, somewhere between then and now, I don't know, the money was too good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is how Ed was telling us, Clarence Thomas is one of those cases where if you can personally sit down and talk to him and to understand his mindset, because every single thing that he has voted for or done is to roll back parts of our rights. The part that SCOTUS is going to be voting on is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which causes voters to challenge any laws that could potentially dilute the districts of minority voters. That's in Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Right. And right now, you can sue your district or sue your state if they drew the map in a way or put on a law in a way that dilutes your votes. Right now, if they strike down that provision, we have literally zero recourse against any law that could infringe on our rights. So essentially, like, let's say there's a polling place, or you know how black people usually vote on Sundays after church or whatever. If a law puts in a place that's going to affect those voters the most, like not be able to vote on Sunday, this polling place is not going to be in your neighborhood anymore. And not only that, you have to have uh, some sort of ID to vote that we know that a lot of black people are not going to have. Then they can dilute your votes, and you have no recourse against it. Section 2 is what protected that. And if that goes away, they can literally say this zip code cannot vote. And that'll be, yeah, that'll be like what would happen to our representation at that point, especially if you're a black person living in the South. What happens to your representation? It's a scary thought. Yeah, I mean, it's very scary they let this go through, and it's looking like they are. And if they do, and it's looking like they will do that. Remember how I said before, we're basically set up for Jim Crow 2.0. Yeah, I mean, so these are
You are
things we
more
got.
correct. Man, you are so correct.
Hmm.
Just in what I just was able to pull up just on the spur of the moment. So Justice Kavanaugh enters the idea that things that were put in place to protect the voting rights of people who are not white, those protections should have an end date.
Yeah, that was the main argument they brought up.
Mm-hmm.
That's some bullshit
Yeah.
because the oppression doesn't have an end date. So the protection against this oppression should have an end date. As you said, Jim Crow 2.0.
So we go 2.0. So if there's an end date for that, what else could there be an end date for? Yeah, I mean, could there be an end date for the 13th Amendment? Because people have been calling for that, ever since I think about a month back, dude didn't protect his neck. The right has now are gonna put in, are trying to basically mainstream Nick Fuentes, which is kind of insane. I guess it shouldn't be known. We know about the right, but if he then becomes the mainstream belief of the right, yeah, we're gonna have to go ahead and send me those magazines. All right, J man, definitely send those to
All
me.
right, there we
Nick
go.
Fuentes, Nick
No,
Fuentes
I
just
got
makes
5 of them
no
right here. They're all empty. You can have them.
mm,
Uh,
Nick Fuentes just makes no sense. He is ethnically Mexican,
no,
but
You
no
he
think
sense
they
at
should
promotes
change
all.
the name by now? Honestly,
but he promotes himself. He promotes the white agenda as if he's a member of the the in group where white people are concerned, and he's not. He
well, he
even
is for now
admits it, but he
until they
admits
get
that.
until they get to him. He is.
Yeah, he admits that he's Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
So where does this I have the same protection of the in group idea come from for him? where he gets to be so mouthy with regard to other non-white ethnicities in the United
Well,
States of America.
even though, like, we know he's that, what they call an ethnic white is what I believe they call him, something like
Yeah,
that.
he's ethnically white, but
Actually,
nationality is
actually, he
Mexican.
might as well be until it ever gets to a point where it is his turn and they
Mhm.
start really purity testing that shit. He functionally is.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Those are the things where as long as we can have you keep trying to keep down everybody else that has a little bit darker complexion than you,
mhm.
until we get rid of those guys, you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. And the thing is, when I first heard his name, I was like Fuentes. This is a Hispanic guy. But then
I had the same fucking reaction.
mhm,
Hmm.
this is a
Yeah,
Hispanic
me too.
guy. And then I looked at him. I was like, okay, yeah, he is ethnically white. But I guess what's going on is because we know Argentinians are also Hispanic, but they're the same country that got rid of all his black folks. You know what I mean? So yeah, and a lot of the people who used to work for the Mustache Man, that's where they went after the war. So
It's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
So he's probably one of those Hispanics. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just yeah, guess they're white. I mean the issue with the that's basically one of the big things that I'm afraid of is we could be back in Jim Crow 2.0. And the thing is, as a people, we well, I would say not black people, because we did what we went out to do, right? We had to do what we had to do. But at the same time, it's not dance around time. Black people are staying out of it. We have to go ahead and prepare for a lot, because we knew that things was gonna go to shit, but Jim Crow 2.0 is gonna be worse than Jim Crow 1.0. You feel me? Especially with MAGA pastors saying rebellious black men should be hung or executed according to the Old Testament, and them
Right.
defending slavery, as a matter of fact. Like
Yes.
so Jim Crow 1.0 could be Jim Crow 2.0 could be worse than 1.0, and we got to get ready for that. You feel me?
Which reminder, you're not gonna pray your way out of that one, okay? This motherfucker over here said it as explicitly as he possibly fucking could. That we should be executed out here. You're not gonna fucking pray that guy away.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not gonna sit here and protest that guy away.
Especially with them saying that, well, slavery was expressly not forbidden in the Bible. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, the God of the Bible supported slavery, and the God of the New Testament gave instruction on how to be a better slave and how to be a better owner of another human being.
Hmm.
So yes, and they're actually going back to these biblical principles with regard to how they want to restructure the government. That a government that was expressly set up to be entirely separate from any biblical principle.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So that's what we're going to be dealing with, and I'm not sure if we are prepared as a community for this. J Matt, what do you
No,
say?
fuck no, absolutely not. They don't want to be prepared. That's the worst part about it.
Hmm.
It's bad enough if okay, if you want to go with the, in my opinion, whitewashed history that peaceful protest and just regular civil disobedience is enough to gain you your rights from people who don't see you as human. If you want to believe that, okay, fine. I think you're wrong for it, and I think you're silly, but fine, that's your business. Don't go out here telling other people to believe the same fucking thing.
Hmm.
That's the fucking problem I got. You don't want to fight. If you want to, okay, let me not put it that way. Yes, I will put it that way, actually, because if you don't want to fight, if you just want to sit down and say, this too shall pass or whatever, fine, whatever, just get out the way. Don't run around telling other people, hey, you shouldn't arm yourself, or you're a bad person because you're arming yourself or whatever, or try to punk them like, oh, you a pussy because you need that gun to be out here in the streets. What are you fucking so fucking scared of and everything?
Hmm.
Okay, you are no fucking better than the people actively trying to fuck us over
Hmm.
at that point.
No, I agree. We need to we need to be ready. I was speaking about this in my men's group the other just yesterday, and I was like, man, I was talking to my wife about creating a food pantry, and hooking up with black truckers and inboxing black farmers, because we may need that network coming up in the next few years. Especially with how far this can go and what can happen. Now, I may be sounding too much alarm bells, but the fact of the matter is, like, this could go pretty far. You know what I mean, and we need to be ready and prepared for that. Because again, like, yeah, this can go back to the point of them continuing to dilute our rights. If there's an end date for your rights and an end date for certain amendments, then what other end date can they have? You feel me? Ed, what do you say?
I'm going to go back to Thomas Jefferson and the Treaty of Tripoli of 1797.
Mm-hmm.
Article 11 of the Treaty of Tripoli says that the United States of America is in no way founded on the Christian religion. Another founding document, another founding document of our government that says that we are not supposed to give a fuck about somebody's religion or about religion, period, when it comes to government.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, this is exactly what's being promoted now. Remember that if you're an atheist politician, you can never get elected in the United States.
All right, there's
So,
still laws
so
on the books. Functionally, it's useless because the Supreme Court. We'll see how long that lasts. But there's still laws on the books in Tennessee that you can't hold office if you're an atheist.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even though in the Constitution it says that there should be no test, that there should be no test with regard to religious affiliation for anyone to participate in government.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Not
Exactly.
I am a person who my just myself. I don't want to have a gun or carry a gun or something like that. But I am not going to stand between the rest of my people and their ability to defend themselves. How I choose to defend myself is entirely up to me. But I'm not going to say you should not have the ability to defend yourself because that's just dumb.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing how the government is going back on itself. The government is now just completely negating the founding documentation upon which the government was created.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going to need to be able to the only rights you have are those that you can defend.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that includes the right for your voice to be heard. That includes the right to protect yourself, those you care about, and your own property. All of those rights.
Yeah. 100%.
They only exist as long as you can defend them.
That's right.
100%. 100%. And we're getting to the
So,
point where we're gonna have to forcibly defend them. So yeah, people like
yes.
as I always say, get organized, get with the people in your community. Food, water, uh, monetary assistance, logistics, and defense. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna
And
need that.
and also just intellectually, I'd rather not argue with somebody that John Brown would have shot.
Facts.
So,
Hmm. Facts. I mean, and speaking of that, um, let's go ahead and get to our next subject of the what's going on in Chicago. J Man, go ahead and run us down with that with that scenario. What is going on with the gun owners in Chicago, black gun owners, and specifically being arrested?
Yeah. So going on in Chicago, black gun owners are being charged with felonies despite having valid concealed carry license. And there's another thing. In Chicago, you have to have two cards, I believe it is, to carry your concealed carry license. And then there's another thing, firearm owner identification card. So you need to have both of those things to be up and about carrying. And what's happening is that when black people are getting pulled over in Chicago, these cops are running there because I believe they're a state where you have to inform a cop if you're pulled over or stopped by one, that you have to inform them that you're carrying. And so when they're doing that is they're checking your cards against their own internal system. And the issue is those systems don't talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the cops have their own separate system to see whoever they're talking to if they have a license for whatever they're carrying. And whenever the individual, whenever they apply for their licenses and whatever, and it gets approved, that's a separate system. So those sometimes, so the idea is they're both supposed to talk to each other so they can be cross-referenced and they can both, whenever they're being checked, you can see is this person has valid IDs or not.
Mm-hmm.
But in some of these cases, that's not happening. So what's going on is they're being charged with. Oof, I wonder if I could find what it is. It's aggravated. There it is. Aggravated unlawful possession of a weapon and unlawful use of a weapon. And the issue is most of these, as they're going to court, they're getting dropped because the courts are finding that these are mistakes. But for some of these people, that's not being the case. They're still being pursued and being charged with these. One of them, here he is, 46-year-old Lewis McWilliams. He was charged with a felony in April after being pulled over from a business meeting. That case was dismissed afterwards. And something that you're going to see, or at least I hope that you're going to see, is that a lot of these people, whether they get the cases dismissed or not, are going to sue the city for these cops violating their rights here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ideally, a lot of these individuals would do that. I understand if they wouldn't, though, because that can take a lot of time and a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you have a good case, there's no guarantee that, you're going to win it.
Right.
So, but if they do, hopefully, the idea would be that they'd sue enough money from the city that the city would do something and say, okay, we need to figure out this system. Or if they're showing you a valid license, whether it shows up in our system or not, leave them alone because this is taking too much money from the city. I doubt that that's going to happen at all, especially because it looks like it's happening more so to a lot of black gun owners,
Mm-hmm.
which, okay, something that's not the point of this at all, but I think is interesting is that it's happening to a lot of black gun owners, which means that a lot of black gun owners are armed, which I think is a good thing. It's shitty that, they're getting fucked with like this, but it does bring a little smile to my face because it's telling me that there's a lot of black people who are armed here. And who are legally armed, even more so.
Yeah. I'm definitely happy to hear that as well. You know what I mean? To defend yourself, but we now see how these laws can be used are weaponized against us a lot of times. You know what I mean? Which is one of the reasons when it came to gun laws are becoming more and more apprehensive around it because of how it's weaponized against us a lot of times. But as far as those cases, yeah, I've always said, man, the only way to repair cop behavior is not the money coming from the city. Take it from the pension. If you take it from the pension fund, yeah, these cops are going to correct each other because, like, I'm not gonna risk another lawsuit and my pension goes down because you fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
yeah. If you start going after that, I mean, like, if I was a mayor of a city, that's what I'll be one of the first bills I pass. But like, we're no longer gonna be paying for show your mistakes. Now, every time you someone sues successfully sues because you fucked up, we're taking it from your pension. So it's like y'all gotta go ahead and correct each other. Like, the city shouldn't be paying for this anymore.
Well, a step in the right direction is that there was a court very recently. I'd have to search for it, but there was a court very recently where some police officers were being sued because of some actions that they took, and the court says, yeah, well, because of the actions that you took, you do not have qualified immunity. So therefore, this lawsuit can go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this is a lawsuit that's going forward to affect them individually.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever nest eggs they may be sitting on are now at stake. I would have to go do the search, but I just saw it very recently that that there was a court somewhere here in the U.S. that said, "Yep, you can go ahead and sue these cops because they screwed up."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. You know what I mean? Instead of suing the city, sue the cop itself. Sue that person themselves under whichever law that they broke, and then it'll call into questions their qualified immunity, and if the city says, "Oh, you didn't have qualified immunity," boom, now I'm suing you yourself, and you're gonna have to go ahead and get a second mortgage on that house for you for you to defend yourself, because yeah, the union cop can't, the union rep can't represent you anymore because you're being sued personally, not on behalf of the city.
I think that's also a good suggestion because now the city has to decide, or at least the way I see it is the city now has to decide, okay, are we going to take the hit as a city, use these tax dollars to pay out whatever settlement might come, or, if the judgment goes wrong against us, or am I just going to tell this cop, well, you're shit out of luck and we either can't afford this or it's not worth us taking this so far as a city. Better to have, you answer for your shit personally.
Exactly. Exactly. And then yes, cops will start to police each other. As in, I'm not gonna lose my money just because you fucked up.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what should happen. Basically, put in the law where if something like that happens, just like how you said, Ed, they sue the cop first. Yeah, I mean, and then the city has to decide if they have qualified immunity or not. If the city does decide that, okay, cool, you can sue the city, but the money's not gonna come from the city budget; it's gonna come from the pension. Yeah, I mean, so you have
Yeah.
those two things. Those cops will straighten up real quick, real fucking quick.
And then I have a close relative who was who just retired from the police force. And one thing I used to say when I was much younger, it was about the police is like I was like Tupac, fuck them all. But again, I have my very close relative who was on the police force, and I knew that he was a good guy. He was a good cop. He was doing what he was supposed to do. But there was all these other ones that were pieces of shit, and folks weren't telling on these guys. And I understood why. I
Mm-hmm.
totally understood why. I just didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I used to say was, well, if you ain't talking about them, then you just as fucked up as they are. No, I actually understand the nuances now a lot better than I used to. But I will still say that if you know what's going on and you're not at the very least making sure that all of that stuff that's going on has nothing to do with you, when the shit hits the fan, don't be surprised if you get splattered.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it is understandable to be sympathetic because it's like within this workspace, if I say anything, I could be ostracized, or I could even get death threats. Yeah, yeah, you feel me? Because
Fuck
like
threats, you could be set up to be
you
killed.
could be set up to be killed as well. Yeah, exactly. Because they could set up a robbery, and you're the one that's near there. And then when you show up, you have a whole
That's
bunch of
right.
people with AKs and AR-15s shooting at you. You know what I mean? And that you just got set up to be killed. Like stuff like that happens, and that has a code of silence. It's crazy how people go after the black community so much for the not snitching thing when cops are one of some of the biggest not snitching people ever out there. You know what I mean? So it is
They want you to snitch though. They want you to
they don't want
snitch.
you to snitch though. Yeah,
They
exactly.
they want you to snitch.
Hmm.
But they ain't snitching. But they want you to snitch.
Yeah, exactly. So it is one of those one of those concerns, right? One of those things. So I could sympathize with a lot of good cops who would stay silent because it is a chilling effect. Yeah, I mean, that just means for us out here, we got to work harder to reform it. There are a lot of things that we need to do on our end, and for those cops that are in that situation, we got to find a way to somehow protect them. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like how do you? It's a hard line to navigate. You feel me?
When you have a police force that has essentially been set up based on the way that slave catchers used to operate,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very difficult thing to let us say uncorrupt, because you have within it, built into that system, you have the promotion of violence as a key to getting ahead. And it's not violence. It's not like you go into a boxing ring and you're fighting somebody else who is equally as trained as you. No, no, no. It's violence against the citizenry.
Mhm.
And you use the citizenry as your key to getting ahead professionally. That's where it becomes problematic because then the corruption is built into the system. And the little guy who gets screwed is always going to be the regular citizen who's just doing everything that they're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. No problem. The law abiding citizen is the one who gets screwed.
Yeah,
Often
always.
with no legal recourse.
Yes, often with no legal recourse.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? That's all. That's all. That's always the problem. So police reform honestly should have been what they ran on, but of course, we know how to how that goes. I don't know why. You know what? After I got my bachelor's in political science, I should have started like a consulting firm for politicians because it's like y'all could win with a lot of the policies that that could be promoted, but y'all just I don't know, man. It's crazy. But anyway, speaking of government workers like that, um, we are now on week 4 of the shutdown.
Oh,
Yeah.
The latest effects that I've seen of that is the food lines at food banks. They put some of those photos out there, and these are long lines of people, needing to get something to eat, of course, because there's the government shut down. They had no money, and food stamps are about to shut down as well. As far as the shutdown goes, has anybody's been like personally affected either by a family or anything like that?
Yes, I have now. Supposed to have drill this month. I did not. It got canceled, so I'm very glad about that.
interesting.
Oh yeah, because
Interesting.
you're
So you're yeah. So I mean, you're a reservist. So you would have had to go. Man, that okay. So that right there means that our own defensive infrastructure is now being affected.
yeah, yeah. I remember when
This is
Well,
so screwed.
for the reserve and National Guard side, yeah, a little bit, but active duty, they're still getting fucked. They still gotta go into work.
yeah, they still gotta go.
Yeah, I know. I know. I
Yeah.
know. I know they do. And
Yeah, for
that's
the National Guard side, we're kind of out here chilling.
Mhm. When I was reserve, we actually still had a drill during the shutdown because our pool of money was completely different from the active duty side. But Christ, they were not happy. It happened during the time where I was doing my duty, my 2 weeks. When I was doing my 2 weeks, the government shutdown happened. They were like, "Yeah, you're gonna be able to get paid," but everybody else, that pot of money is just not there. And what was also crazy is that they put me on a set of orders for about 2 months. So I was still getting paid from that, and everybody else wasn't. And I still want Sergeant, should I still come to work because I'm the only one getting paid, bro? And I don't want to get these guys angry if me getting paid. Yeah, bro. 'Cause-
I was gonna tell you to buy everybody a drink. That's all it is. Whenever that tab rolls around, you're paying it.
yeah, yeah.
yep. Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that's
I
exactly
get
what
you
happened.
now.
As a matter of fact, I was the one that paid it. But
Mhm.
yeah, it seems to me that more and more things are going to happen. Now, of course, people always say that the government shutting down is a good thing. They're not spending on any crap. They're not the government bureaucrats. I mean, they're not taking their money and having these cushy jobs doing nothing. But I don't people think people realize just how much government workers do. Yeah, and where they are, there are a lot of government workers who are like in the IT department, and there are a lot of them who are, working for like the electric grid. If they're out of work or they refuse to come to work because it's been 2 months and they haven't been getting paid, what do y'all think is gonna happen to things like our grid, like our internet, like defense, like plumbing, like infrastructure? A lot of that is handled by government workers, y'all. So what do y'all think happens if they don't show up anymore? Like things could go to shit very, very quickly, especially if it's trash. you know, luckily, sanitation is usually ran by, the locals. Yeah, I mean, but even a lot of that is affected by those federal government contracts. If those don't come in anymore, what happens, guys?
What happens? The local mafia decides the
Yeah.
local mafia decides when the waste disposal happens. Actually, what happens? I have no idea. I have no idea. What I do understand is that the more people there are out of work, the greater you come to that critical mass where now the government can decide what kind of response it wants to use, which usually comes down to some form of martial law. So I think things are working out the way the government wants them to right now.
Yeah, J man, I'm gonna need you to send down some ads, bro. Yeah, so we could yeah, I'm gonna need some of that, bro. Cause yeah, it's getting scary, getting a little scary.
Yep,
So
I can easily agree with that.
mhm,
He's not going to range, man. I can't just be sending them down for there to be collecting dust.
yeah, man. But
it, it, it's man.
what one thing I learned in the military, I'm pretty sure J man could say it too. One thing I always heard was shit rolls downhill.
And it
So
does.
yeah, so like sanitation in of itself, yeah, we know it's run by the mafia, but a lot of those contracts that they have, they come federally. Once that money runs out and there's no more contracts going out, because the contracts that they get is from the local government gets money from the state, and the state like a lot of times get money from the Fed. If all of that is not happening anymore, what I mean, you'll be surprised just how much trash piles up. Like in my apartment complex, like there was a week where they didn't take the trash, and let me tell you, it was piling up. And you can start smelling it, like a couple of feet away, like like 20, 50 feet away, you can start smelling the trash. So if that starts to happen, if none of that's picked up, none of the people, no one's taking care of the grid, no one's taking care of the internet, no one's we already have a whole bunch of people not taking care of the food anymore. There's recalls almost every day. you know it's gonna get chaotic, because I think people didn't realize just how much the government does, and folks are gonna think that's a good thing, shrinking the size of the government and letting other people handle it. But the other people who are gonna handle are gonna do it for profit. You sure you want people checking your food to have a profit incentive on your food? I don't think I want that. What do you guys say?
I, the, the problem there's so many problems. So many problems. So many problems. We have capitalism, which gives you the profit incentive, the profit motivation to do whatever it is that you do to the best of your ability. But then we have government contracts, which actually removes incentive because you have essentially a promised amount of money that you're going to get, whether you do anything or nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's generally how government contracts tend to work.
Yeah, true.
So there's problems on top of problems on top of problems. We
Yeah.
we are going to have to figure out. We're going to have to figure out an origami level of how to unfuck ourselves when all of this is over.
I'm about tired of this we language. I'm not gonna lie to you, dog.
yeah. I know. It's just that we're all in the
We tried
boat.
to if this should happen.
Yeah.
They
Hey, we tried to make sure this shit didn't happen, but we could not convince everybody else to go along with us.
Yeah, and now we were on top of that tower looking at everything burning down, but the fire reached our tower. So now we gotta do some shit. The fire is about to reach our
Oh,
tower, guys. So now we gotta go ahead and do something, because yeah, the 80%, the 92%, yeah, we already told them. I mean, we like the shit's burning down now, but like it's that fire is getting dangerously close to our tower. So we're now gonna have to do something about our tower. That's what I'm concerned about.
I used to be a firefighter. I can take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You just get me some water and I'll figure it out.
Yeah. What I'm concerned about, I ain't gonna lie, what I'm concerned about primarily is our tower. Yeah, I mean, like everybody else's tower. I'm not sure about that, but I'm concerned about our tower. We got to make sure that we good over here. Yeah, I mean, we got the firefighters, we got the water, we got the food, we got the defense, we got networks of education, we got all that. So I'm trying to make sure we're good over here, and I'm not sure if we're prepared yet.
Yeah, we do. We definitely need more preparation because as soon as everything goes to hell, I remember you guys were talking earlier about MREs. I've had my own share of MREs because I have a dad and a brother who were both in the military. Um, so I've had my share of MREs too. I understand. I understand. However, if you have MREs and those folks over there are trying to chop off cactuses to dig out water, don't you think they're gonna think that your MRE is probably a luxury
Yeah.
and they're gonna come for it?
Well, you see, I got a buddy here named Smith and Wesson. I think he'll be.
Yep. Hey, believe me, I'm right there with you. I understand. I'm just saying we are not ready for what's coming. We're not ready.
Yeah.
And if even if you have your collection of MREs, which are some of the lowest forms of sustenance available, Jesus
Don't talk about my
Christ, as you
MREs
said,
like that.
it's basically like it's big. As you said, it was like a lunch. It's basically a dehydrated Lunchable.
It really is.
Dehydrated Lunchable is kind of funny.
So, I mean, I understand, but taking that over, well, just having your stomach eat it from the inside out, eat itself from the inside out. I mean, come on, you gonna go for that Lunchable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm saying that as good as we can make everything over here for ourselves, when they realize just how screwed they are, they're gonna come for what we have, just like they always have,
They always
just
have.
like Rosewood, just like Black Wall Street, just like the communities that existed in Florida, in Georgia, in Mississippi, in Tennessee, in Arkansas, in Texas, all of these thriving black communities that came and destroyed because they were thriving black communities that had nothing to do with the white communities that surrounded them.
Definitely.
So, yes,
So these
J
are.
Man, J Man, I appoint you Secretary of Defense.
Now, hold on a second. What if I want to be Secretary of War?
I was.
You don't have the brain worms to be Secretary of War. Okay.
What's funny about that? I was watching a video the other day by Black Green Red, BGR, great channel. But he even said the first video that I seen of his was like the Black Panthers will never come back, but we can replace it with something new and something better. Like something better should. He's basically the premise of the video was the Black Panthers are never coming back, but something better should replace it. You see what I'm saying? Like we can actually have another type of party like that. And yeah, and if we do, I nominate J-Man as as Secretary of War. You know what I mean? That's who I nominate. Oh man.
Minister of Defense.
Yeah, Minister of Defense. There we go. The Minister of Defense. Because we do need to organize. We do need to get together, and we need to make these connections. So if anyone listens, like I said before, make those connections, learn everything that you can learn how to with your hands, and learn how to be quick with the draw. And if you have anyone who is disabled, know how to protect them. And even disabled people have ways of self-defense. Make sure that if you are on your and you have a method of knowing self-defense, if you are disabled, please learn it. You know what I mean? Because
two things on that real quick, because I do want to harp on that a little bit, because I feel like disabled people get left out of the conversation a lot when it comes to things like this. So at least when it comes to the self-defense part, I'm on the one of those gun subreddits, literal gun owners, and in one of them, I saw like the coolest thing. There's a guy there doesn't have arms. I believe he's just in a wheelchair. He doesn't even have arms. Now, provided he needs a second person for this, of course, but he has his friend set up his rifle, throws it on it's either a sandbag or a tripod, I don't recall which. Throws it on there, and he's able to do everything else himself.
Mm.
You know, he's able to move his chair around. He's able to fire the gun with his mouth somehow. He's even able to pull the charging handle back and everything. Like they've created a little contraption that so that he's able to do all of these things.
Mm.
So in case there's any disabled people watching thinking, this is great and all, but how am I going to defend myself? There's people out there willing to help you do that, to help you find a way to fire a fucking gun if that's how you choose to defend yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't think that just because, whatever happened, whether you're born that way or maybe something happened to you, that, you can't exercise that right either. You can. It's going to be harder. I'm not going to fucking lie to you here, but you can do it too.
You can definitely do it. You can definitely do it. All right,
In
guys.
every martial arts school that I've been a part of, there were disabled people, older people, everybody was included in learning how it is to defend yourself. And so even some instruction would be tailored specifically for older folks or folks with lower mobility or folks who were disabled in some fashion. All the ability to defend yourself should be available to everyone,
Mm,
absolutely everyone.
agreed. 100% agreed. All right, guys, let's go ahead and I appreciate all the conversation, man. Let's go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. This video will be out at least Tuesday or Wednesday. And let's go ahead and go around the table. Jay, man, let the people know where they can find you.
Oh shit, me first. Okay. Yeah, you can find me over at Bluesky at DreamJman. DreamJman. Same thing over on Reddit, except there's a 15 behind it. DreamJman15. Alternatively, you can also find me over on Bluesky at another account if you care for all the more topics like this specifically. You can find me over there at jam_passive, JAM_PASSIVE. That's where all I talk about more serious shit like this. That other account is just for me to play around with anime, manga, games, all the fun stuff. So if you want to
Cool.
separate those two out a little bit, that's why I do that.
Awesome. Go ahead and send that to me as well. How about
Yeah.
you, Ed? Let the people know where they can find you.
Find me on Instagram at wellajusted, WELLAJUSTED. Blue Sky, well adjusted. Facebook, well adjusted. Reddit, well adjusted. All that. I mean, you can email me. You can email me on Gmail, well adjusted at Gmail. It's all good. I'm just well adjusted. You know
Just
why?
roll
Because I'm
it
so damn old.
up. All right, y'all. And for me, you can find me on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram and YouTube. Volcy Thoughts for all of them. You can look me up there. Discuss these topics. I also discuss religion and other politics. I stream every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I with on Sundays is with Black Atheist Rants. We talk about how Black people should not be Christian, Muslim, or Hebrew Israelite, and that one is a doozy. So I hope to see you all there as well. And that will end off this episode. You guys have a wonderful week, and we will see you later. Peace.
Peace.